Hey guys, how you doing? It's Tom. A few days ago, President Trump tweeted, "The United States has foolishly given Pakistan more than $33 billion in aid over the last 15 years, and they have given us nothing but lies and deceit, thinking of our leaders as fools. They give safe haven to the terrorists we hunt in Afghanistan with little help. No more." This sent the media into overdrive, much like everything Trump tweets. And more importantly, it started a public conversation regarding the validity of American foreign aid, a conversation I believe is long overdue. Let's start with some history. 1947, the Truman Doctrine was an American foreign policy whose stated purpose was to counter Soviet geopolitical expansion during the Cold War. It was first announced to Congress by President Harry Truman on March 12, 1947, and further developed on July 12, 1948, when Truman pledged to contain threats to Greece and Turkey. Direct American military force was usually not involved, but Congress appropriated financial aid to support the economies and militaries of Greece and Turkey. More generally, the Truman Doctrine implied American support for other nations allegedly threatened by Soviet communism. The Truman Doctrine became the foundation of American foreign policy and led in 1949 to the formation of NATO, the military alliance that is still in effect today. Historians credit the Truman Doctrine as the start of the Cold War. 1948, the Marshall Plan, also known as the European Recovery Program, was an American initiative to aid Western Europe in which the United States gave over $13 billion, nearly $140 billion in current dollar value as of September 2017, in economic assistance to help rebuild Western European economies after the end of World War II. The plan was in operation for 4 years beginning on April 8, 1948. The goal of the United States was to rebuild war-torn regions, remove trade barriers, modernize industry, make Europe prosperous once more, and prevent the spread of communism. The largest recipients of Marshall Plan money were the United Kingdom, about 26%, France, about 18%, West Germany, about 11%, and some 18 European countries received other plan benefits. The Soviet Union was offered benefits, but refused, and blocked other Eastern Bloc countries such as Germany and Poland from receiving aid. The United States provided similar aid programs in Asia, but they were not part of the Marshall Plan. What were the results? There is no correlation between the amount of aid received and the speed of recovery. Both France and the United Kingdom received more aid, but West Germany recovered significantly faster. 1961, Congress passed the Foreign Assistance Act, reorganizing U.S. foreign assistance programs and separating military and non-military aid. Because in America, if a program proves not to work, Congress almost always doubles down on it. The act mandated the creation of an agency to administer economic assistance programs, the United States Agency for International Development. Because if bureaucracies have taught us anything, it's that they're very inefficient and we need more of them. Just go spend some time at your local DMV. The United States Agency for International Development, USAID, which was established by President Kennedy 2 months later, became the first U.S. foreign assistance organization whose primary focus was long-term economic and social development. And the war on drugs and the war on poverty have clearly demonstrated that government bureaucracies are very efficient in achieving long-term societal goals. President Obama announced to the UN Millennium Development Goals Summit in September 2010 that the United States was changing its policy toward foreign aid. The president said the country would focus more on effectiveness and make sure donated food, medicine, and money help countries to get to the point where they no longer require such aid. Is that a unicorn? Yes, it's more likely that there would be a unicorn than a government program getting to the point where countries no longer require such aid. Infrastructure set up for the president's emergency plan for AIDS relief would be used to build capacity in local healthcare systems, to improve maternal and child health, and also fight tropical disease. Because redistributing wealth for healthcare has worked so well in America that we should take money from Americans and redistribute that wealth to people all over the world. I have an idea. We can't agree on whether we should pay for the girls down the block's birth control. Let's pay for the birth control of someone in Greece. The new policy would increase the profile and participation of the United States Agency for International Development, which would coordinate more directly with the National Security Council and Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. I wonder how many countries received an increase in aid after donating to the Clinton Foundation. Food for thought. Some observers criticized the link with national security and foreign policy as unhelpful for the impoverished, and others lamented the attempted streamlining as only adding more bureaucracy. Foreign aid is a highly partisan issue in the United States, predictably with liberals on average supporting government-funded foreign aid much more than conservatives do, who tend to prefer to provide foreign aid privately. This is a big issue, something that so many people really missed the boat on. People think they're being charitable by voting for programs, bureaucracies that provide foreign aid and provide services to the poor. Taxation is not charity. Taxation is theft, especially federal taxation. Essentially, you are stating that you are willing to authorize the theft of other people's hard-earned money as long as you're not the one committing the theft, as long as the government is threatening people with imprisonment, with the destruction of their livelihoods, unless they surrender their hard-earned money. This is not charity, this is not altruism, this is theft. And if the government didn't take away everyone's money, if taxation wasn't so high, people would prove that the American people are more than capable of providing better services through charity on our own. But people don't have the luxury to do that because taxation is so high, because people are hurting from government-led policies. Taxation is theft. Altruism is charity that individuals choose to give to others. In 2016, America paid $49 billion in total foreign aid obligations. $15 billion for conflicts, peace, and security. Nothing says peace like American military intervention. You'll get that straight from the military-industrial complex. $9 billion for population policies and reproduction. $6 billion for emergency response. Perhaps that money could have been spent in Texas after Hurricane Harvey, or in Florida after, I believe it was Hurricane Irene. $2 billion for basic health care. How's the health care in America? $2 billion for operational expenses. I guess that is for new Mercedes and new homes for bureaucrats who oversee these programs. $1 billion in unspecified money, because why would the government ever track what's happening with the billions of dollars of our tax money they're spending? And $1 billion for government and civil society. So we can't have a conversation about the validity of foreign aid without discussing the situation domestically. Currently, America is in $20 trillion in debt, with a T. And there are currently $210 trillion in unfunded liabilities. Think Social Security, Medicare. The Social Security program matured in the 1960s when Americans were consistently having fewer children, living longer, and earning wages at a slower rate than the rate of growth in the number of retirees. As these trends have continued, today there are just 2.9 workers per retiree, and this amount is expected to drop to just 2 workers per retiree by the year 2030. To put that into perspective, when Social Security was introduced, there were 159.4 workers per every person that was retired. The program was stable when there were more than 3 workers per beneficiary. However, future projections indicate that the ratio will continue to fall from 2 workers to 1 worker, and this is financially unsustainable, and it really is setting us up for complete societal decay and collapse. 1 worker for every retiree. Unfunded liabilities of state public pensions topped $6 trillion in 2017. Unfunded liabilities of public pension plans continues to loom over state governments nationwide. Absent significant reforms, unfunded liabilities of state-administered pension plans will continue to grow and threaten the financial security of state retirees and taxpayers alike. Taxpayers are impacted by this pension crisis since they are the ones funding the wages of government employees. Government employees are given ridiculous salaries, ridiculous benefit packages that they wouldn't receive in the public sector because it's not sustainable. Yes, after you retire, we're going to pay you X amount of money, but it's the taxpayers who have to fund that bill. And all residents are impacted because the funds that go to pensions take away resources from government services such as public safety, education, and roads. So picture it this way. There's a worker, and he is building roads. He's putting the roads together, does this for 40 years, retires. Well, now he's still being paid for the next 40 years. So now, by de facto, the roads that are being fixed today cost more because it's the cost of the roads plus the person that is retired. State pension liabilities average about $18,676 for every American in the United States, 355 million people. Absent fundamental reform, the broken pension system threatens the financial sustainability of state budgets and the financial future of public servants. Government workers, retirees, are not going to vote to do anything with these pensions. We have to pay for it. Our children have to pay for it, which is why government-provided services always cost more and more and more, and soon it's going to get to the point where there's 2 workers for 1 retiree, one worker per retiree. Our children are going to pay the price for this. This is unsustainable. Yet America is sending billions and billions of dollars to countries overseas. We don't have our own house in order. On January 2nd, President Trump tweeted, "The United States foolishly gives Pakistan more than $33 billion in aid over the last 15 years, and they have given us nothing but lies and deceit, thinking of our leaders as fools. They give safe haven to the terrorists we hunt in Afghanistan with little help. No more." The Trump administration first said in August of 2017 it was temporarily withholding the $255 million in aid due to Pakistan, which was part of a $1.1 billion aid package authorized in 2016 by Congress. So the question is, should the aid be withheld? Let's see. According to the official government narrative, Osama bin Laden was the mastermind behind the attacks on September 11th, 2001. You all know how I feel about official government narratives. I would suggest all of you watch Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth. But with that being said, let's roll with it. The attacks on September 11th were followed by a now almost 17-year war going on in the Middle East. The War on Terror, which started in Afghanistan, moved to Iraq, Libya, Syria, Sudan. Apparently we're in Yemen. Who knows? We're everywhere. We're probably fighting a war on Mars. As of September 2016, it is reported that the U.S. has spent $4.9 trillion fighting wars in the Middle East since 2001. Imagine what we could have done with $4.9 trillion domestically. How many children go to bed hungry in America? And then, of course, there's the most devastating cost of war, the human toll. How many brave young Americans have we sent to the Middle East not to come back? How many brave young Americans have we sent to the Middle East who have come back without limb, permanently disabled, either physically or psychologically? How many people in the Middle East have grown up only knowing war? Imagine being born September 12th, 2001 in the Middle East. These children are 17 years old now, and the only thing they've ever seen in this world is United States soldiers occupying their homeland, killing people that they know. The war on terror has become a self-fulfilling prophecy. These children are undoubtedly going to grow up to be terrorists, because one man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. So we really need to rethink the strategy of the war on terror. Maybe readjust it to a strategy of intellectual awakening, of human renaissance. Because war only breeds hatred. Osama bin Laden was declared the most wanted fugitive in American history. Bin Laden was killed in Pakistan on May 2nd, 2011 by United States Navy SEALs SEAL Team 6. Again, according to the official narrative, the operation ended a nearly 10-year search for bin Laden following his role in the September 11th, 2001 attacks on the United States. According to Carlotta Gal, a Pakistani official told her that a senior U.S. official had indicated that the United States had direct evidence that Inter-Service Intelligence Chief Lieutenant General Ahmad Sush Pasha knew of bin Laden's presence in Abbottabad, Pakistan, but ISI, Pasha, and officials in Washington all denied this. ISI is Pakistani Intelligence Services. There is debate about how America located bin Laden. According to well-respected journalist Seymour Hersh, who, if you watch my reports, you know blew the whistle on Seth Rich, or at least attempted to, and also wrote an article that led to the Church Committee that exposed that the CIA had infiltrated the American mainstream media with billions of dollars worth of today's money. So according to Hersh and Embassy News, the U.S. was tipped off about bin Laden's location by a Pakistani intelligence officer who offered details of where the Pakistani intelligence service held bin Laden in detention in exchange for a bounty. In August 2010, a former Pakistani intelligence officer approached the U.S. Embassy station chief in Islamabad and offered to reveal bin Laden's location in return for the $25 million reward, according to a retired senior U.S. intelligence official. The story was corroborated by two U.S. intelligence officials speaking to Embassy News and had been previously reported by intelligence analyst Raylan Hillhouse. The Pakistani official informed U.S. intelligence that bin Laden had been located by Pakistani intelligence in 2006 and held under house arrest near Pakistani intelligence and military centers ever since. The official passed a polygraph test, after which the U.S. began local and satellite surveillance of bin Laden's Abbottabad, Pakistan residence. According to the retired senior U.S. intelligence official speaking to Hersh, bin Laden was ill at that point, financially supported by some within Saudi Arabia and kept by the ISI, Pakistani intelligence, to better manage their complex relationship with Pakistan and Afghan Islamic groups. Because nothing says an ally like harboring and hiding the most wanted terrorist in American history. In order to confirm bin Laden's presence at the compound inside Pakistan, Shakil Afridi, a Pakistani physician, helped the CIA run a fake hepatitis vaccine program to confirm bin Laden's presence inside the city by obtaining DNA samples. Pakistan faced intense international scrutiny following the raid that killed bin Laden. The Pakistani government denied that it had sheltered bin Laden and said it had shared information with the CIA and other intelligence agencies about the compound since 2009. After the raid, there was an unconfirmed report that Pakistan allowed Chinese military officials to examine the wreckage of a helicopter that crashed as a result. Numerous allegations were made that the government of Pakistan had sheltered bin Laden. Critics cited the proximity of bin Laden's heavily fortified compound to the Pakistani military academy. Some military academy that wouldn't know that the most wanted man in the world was just down the road, and that the U.S. chose to not notify Pakistani authorities before the operation. So the U.S. government didn't trust Pakistan enough to notify them prior to a military operation within Pakistan's borders. That's a big deal. The U.S. government files leaked by WikiLeaks disclosed that American diplomats had been told that Pakistani security services were tipping off bin Laden every time U.S. forces approached. Pakistan's ISI also helped smuggle al-Qaeda militants into Afghanistan to fight NATO troops. According to the leaked files, in December 2009, the government of Tajikistan had also told U.S. officials that many in Pakistan were aware of bin Laden's whereabouts. CIA Chief Leon Panetta said the CIA had ruled out involving Pakistan in the operation because it feared that any effort to work with Pakistanis could jeopardize the mission. They might alert the targets. John Brennan, Obama's chief counterterrorism advisor, said that it was inconceivable that bin Laden did not have support from within Pakistan. He said, "People have been referring to this as hiding in plain sight. We are looking at how he was able to hide out there for so long." Emails from the private American security firm Stratfor, published by WikiLeaks on February 27, 2012, indicate that up to 12 officials in Pakistan's ISI knew of Osama bin Laden's Abbottabad safe house. Stratfor had been given access to the papers collected by American forces from bin Laden's Abbottabad house. Pakistani doctor Shakil Afridi, who was integral in assisting the CIA in locating bin Laden, was arrested at the Turkom border crossing while trying to flee Pakistan days after the raid that killed bin Laden. On the 23rd of May 2012, he was sentenced to 33 years imprisonment for treason, initially believed to be in connection with the bin Laden raid, but later revealed to be due to alleged ties with a local Islamist warlord, Mangal Ba. Lawyers appealed against the verdict on the 1st of June 2012, and on August 29, 2013, his sentence was overturned and a retrial ordered. In 2013, he was charged with murder in regard to the death of a patient he had treated 8 years previously. Can I tell you a secret? He's a political prisoner. In Washington, Obama administration officials expressed anger and frustration at the tribal court decision, but indicated that American officials were working quietly behind the scenes to shorten the sentence or have it dismissed. In 2014, Obama signed a bill to withhold $33 million from Pakistan. Sorry, Pakistan, we're not going to give you $250 million. We're only going to give you $220 million. Hey son, I know you're only 15 years old and you stole my car, got drunk, and drove it into a tree. For the next few weekends, I want you home at midnight instead of whenever you want. President Trump has taken a different approach. He reportedly angered Pakistani officials by claiming he would get the doctor out in 2 minutes. In August 2017, Trump said in a speech, "The next pillar of our new strategy is to change the approach and how to deal with Pakistan. We can no longer be silent about Pakistan's safe havens for terrorist organizations, the Taliban and other groups that pose a threat to the region and beyond. Pakistan has much to gain from partnering with our efforts in Afghanistan. It has much to lose by continuing to harbor criminals and terrorists. In the past, Pakistan has been a valued partner. Our militaries have worked together against common enemies. The Pakistani people have suffered greatly from terrorism and extremism. We recognize those contributions and those sacrifices. But Pakistan has also sheltered the same organizations that try every single day to kill our people. We have been paying Pakistan billions and billions of dollars. At the same time, they are housing the very terrorists that we are fighting. But that will have to change, and that will change immediately. No partnership can survive a country's harboring of militants and terrorists who target U.S. service members and officials. It is time for Pakistan to demonstrate its commitment to civilization, order, and peace." The administration announced shortly after the speech that it would withhold $255 million that was due to Pakistan until they changed their behavior. In January 2018, President Trump tweeted, as we mentioned before, "The United States has foolishly given Pakistan more than $33 billion in aid over the last 15 years, and they have given us nothing but lies and deceit, thinking of our leaders as fools. They give safe haven to the terrorists we hunt in Afghanistan with little help. No more." This is an amazing development, a phenomenal change, much needed change in American foreign policy. This policy of just giving foreign aid and getting nothing in return, it doesn't benefit the American people. It doesn't benefit the public. If your family member was a drug addict, would you continue to give them money so they could go spend it on drugs? Or would you withdraw any money that you were giving them, if you were their parent, for example? Because if you continue to give that drug addict money, you're just enabling the behavior. Well, in Pakistan's case, if they're funding terrorism, if they're harboring Osama bin Laden, if they're arresting the doctor that helped us find bin Laden, and the American taxpayer continues to give them hundreds of millions of dollars, well, we're not getting what we want, and we're enabling their behavior. We're empowering them. Pakistan has proven that they are no friend to the American people. And Pakistan also serves as a perfect example that the argument that foreign aid helps buy friends is a fallacy. The only benefit of foreign aid is using it as leverage. And as soon as these countries stop doing things that are in the best interest of the American people, there's no reason to send aid overseas. And if you set that as the priority, then countries know they have to do what is asked in order to get foreign aid. Now it creates incentive where when we do send money overseas, countries actually use it the way we want. If you don't attach incentives to the money you're sending over, then it's just going to be used for negative things. It's just going to be used to empower dictators, not feed the hungry. And the sad thing is, this is the hard-earned money stolen from the American taxpayer. And it's just another form of redistribution of wealth. And it shows that the American politicians, they're not just interested in redistributing wealth from middle-class Americans to not as well-off Americans. They want to redistribute wealth from Americans all over the world. And this is wealth Americans don't have. A 2017 survey showed that 6 in 10 Americans reported they do not have the savings to handle an unexpected $500 payment. Americans have been living paycheck to paycheck for a very long time. And In large part, that's due to policies of American congressmen, American presidents, American bureaucracies completely devaluing the hard work of Americans, sending American money overseas to other countries when America has $20 trillion in debt, when America has hundreds of trillions of dollars of unfunded liabilities that we know are financially unsustainable. When I believe it's 1 in 5 children go to bed hungry in America every night. Yet our money is being spent overseas. And this is what happens when government gets involved in anything, as we stated earlier. The notion that government is needed for charity is a fallacy. And in fact, if the government didn't steal the wealth of the American people through donations to the Red Cross, although that's not a good organization, but the point is, American people have shown to be the most charitable in the world. And if they had their money, they would be much more efficient with how they use it, how they help people around the world than the American government can ever be. A few days after Trump tweeted about Pakistan, he tweeted, "It's not only Pakistan that we pay billions of dollars to do nothing, but also many other countries and others. As an example, we pay the Palestinians hundreds of millions of dollars a year and get no appreciation or respect. They don't even want to negotiate, and negotiating is long overdue." Again, this is a very positive development. Americans should take note of this. Regardless of how you feel about Trump, giving foreign aid, which is Americans' hard-earned money, to countries all over the world is irrational when we're not getting anything for it and the American people are hurting. There's no logical justification for it. We as a people need to start voting, need to start demanding better financial policies, or it's us and our children who are going to pay the long-term price. Thank you so much for watching. I'm a one-person operation. A tremendous amount of work goes into this. It's something I really enjoy doing. Please share this link. Please tag your friends in this link. For as little as $1 monthly, you can support my operation. You can help me get out an important message of spreading liberty, of shrinking the size of government, of making corporate global government into national government, making national government state government, pushing state government back to local government so that your vote can count more, so that we can empower the people of America politically, economically, and so that people could gain their independence back. Thank you so much, as always. Really appreciate your support. www.patreon.com/FFRnews, little as $1 monthly. Thanks, guys. I thought I would end with this graph. In the top middle, you see the year, and in the top left corner, you see the billions of dollars annually that America sends to foreign countries. That's American taxpayer money. That's money that could house the homeless here, that could feed the homeless here. That's money that could change America. Are we that well off? Can we allow the government to continue to take away our hard-earned money and send it to countries all over the world?